I remember in that era, it was like the Nintendo Entertainment, like SNES era, Super Nintendo Entertainment systems. My video game memory started really young because my dad is a gamer. He loves to play the Game Boy. He loves Nintendo games. He loves to play on the computer. And my dad used to work in the bank. My dad always didn't start out as an officer. He started out as a clerk where he just type out letters, you know, because he was like at that era where everyone was a pioneer, you know, eventually rose up the ranks and like he started to have his own computer. And he would tell me stories where he would like sometimes play video games when no one was looking. He had a Game Boy inside his drawer where he would pull out to play games. And he kind of felt guilty, so he stopped doing that. He handed down all his consoles to me. Yeah, man. Like, I think I told this story before, 100%, but my dad for many years felt that video games was really detrimental to my life. I think my mom convinced my dad that somehow video games was screwing me over. She said like video games was making me like aggressive and like angry and like not doing my homework and stuff. So my dad became more and more against me playing games, you know, and I remember a lot of memories where we would have fights because my dad honestly believed like me playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and Vice City was, I mean, he really thought that if I played those games, I'm gonna like become a criminal myself. And every time he caught me playing that game, he would grab the CD and snap it into two. So that was kind of weird, right? Because you don't want your kid to grow up violent, but you commit a violent act against your kid, right? A lot of times I want to play a violent game like Grand Theft Auto or like God of War. I had to do it like when he was not around. I had to do it like when he's like away from home for work or like he went to meet his friends, and that's when I would play. So that's why I guess like games like those mean a lot to me, because like I had to fight a lot to play the things I like. Yeah, that was the propaganda back then, Woods. Like that was what a lot of kids in the 90s suffer. Like the other favorite propaganda was like Dungeons and Dragons was evil because like it was going against Christianity. They said like Magic the Gathering was also like evil. Pokemon was evil. Shit like that. You know, they just love to blame something on something else, right? And as a kid, I didn't understood it. Part of me like knew that it wasn't true, but part of me was also really scared. Like I thought like, oh man, like if I play too much, I'm probably gonna be like criminal like CJ, right? I mean, I'm not gonna discount the fact that those games probably like got some kids interested in joining Satanist cults. Now, I'm not gonna like say that probably didn't happen, but I guess if you were fucked up, like it doesn't really matter if you play like video games or not. You're still gonna hurt people. Like, I think you guys are probably familiar with like serial killers like Ed Gein and Ted Bundy. You know, those guys didn't play video games. They were already snapping necks of like small animals when they were kids. You know. So to continue the story of what happened between me and my dad, I think I was about like 15 or 16 years old. I was playing Shadow of the Colossus, right? And like, so the game is basically you finding and fighting incredible giants that are made out of stone, and you have to climb them and try to find their weak spots and kill them. I was finding the bird Colossus, and I will never forget this day, man, because I think my dad was going out or he was coming back from work because he was carrying this briefcase. He put the briefcase down and sat on the sofa behind me. And I remember this really vividly because like I felt so much fear. I felt like my dad was gonna start like World War III with me because I wasn't doing my homework or some shit. But my dad was incredibly intrigued. My dad started to like, you know, help. My dad would start to say like, hey, you should try to climb over there, you know? And that was a really surreal moment. And then I realized like why my dad was so interested in it. Because when I was a kid, my dad would take me and my little sister to a forest, and he would always tell us his favorite story. His favorite story of all time is Jack and the Beanstalk. So I guess like when I played Shadow of the Colossus, I probably like tapped something in his psyche that kind of unlocks his like childhood or boyish fantasies. That's why till this day I believe like games is fucking amazing, man. Ever since that moment, like I guess like, because like when I was growing up, right, I had a lot of resentment for my dad. We used to fight a lot. We wouldn't talk to each other, and you know, like Asian families, you have to eat with your parents. So I would eat next to him, but I wouldn't really say anything. And I think that moment really like brought us closer together. I really treasure that memory. I mean, like me and my dad are really close right now. Like we always talk, and like yeah, we were really on good terms. He kind of accepted that I was not gonna be like a kid who's gonna get like fucking flying colors in school, but he kind of like accepted that I was more of the creative type. You know, actually Actually, I gotta say, like, my dad is like one of the coolest dad when it comes to like me choosing my career path. When I graduated high school, I wanted to be a lawyer. Not because I have a passion for law, or you know, not because like I like being a lawyer. It's because all the kids in school had like legit dreams, right? Like people want to be doctors, some wanted to be like engineers, and I thought in order for me to fit in, I have to like get a real job. So I was kind of gearing myself up to be a lawyer. My dad came into my room one day and brought a huge stack of books. Like fucking tall, man. And he dropped it on my desk. I was stunned. I thought my dad wanted to start shit. But my dad said, hey, if you become a lawyer, this is the amount of books you have to read every goddamn day. Hey, I noticed you're really good with computers. Maybe you should go to school to become good with computers. And he was incredibly supportive the whole way. But I think like what connects parents and kids together are stories. I think stories are incredibly important for human civilizations. That's how we like move forward. You know, we learn the stories of our past. You know, we learn where we came from. You know, we learn, you know, not to touch fire. We learn not to go into the bush because there could be a fucking saber-toothed tiger. Video games and movies is just another medium to tell stories. And if you're able to connect the stories, like if you're able to share a story with a friend or your family member, you guys are going to be way closer, man. Because this is an experience, I feel.